Hello, welcome back to the iFox with Juice podcast. I'm your host, Juice, and I'm here with my co-host, Rina Parsegan. Reen, what's up?
Hey, Juice, how's it going?
Pretty good, pretty good. This is basically our second attempt. We were having technical issues yesterday, so we're basically re-recording for you guys because we love you. So I hope you stick around. We're gonna review ESPN Plus. I know it's been a week, but we got to do what we got to do. And we have a fight coming up this weekend with Fedor and Bader. We're going to talk about that and a few other things. So let's jump right into this thing. ESPN Plus happened last weekend. We're going to go over some of the picks of what we got right and wrong. I just wanted to have a quick word about Dennis Bermudez, though. He retired. He had gone back up in weight. He'd gone up to 155 and took out Tay Edwards, dominated him over 15 minutes, and then put his gloves down on the mat and retired in his home state of New York. Touching, emotional retirement. Good way to go out on a win. I think it was one of those things you kind of realize that there's not a lot of money fights for him, and he's probably not going to win a title, so he just decided to call it early. I commend the guy for his decision. Reen, what did you think of the retirement, and do you think that there was anything more that he could have done at this point in his career?
I was surprised that he did. I didn't catch the fight, but I caught it where he was giving out, his last speech. But yeah, I was surprised because he's still 32 years old. I mean, he's still young. So, but I guess with all his losses that he racked up, he had like four straight losses coming into this fight. So maybe he didn't want to take any more damage. I mean, he's had some wars in the past, so maybe this was a good time for him to just walk away with the win.
Yeah, like I mentioned, I don't see any negatives that you could take from this. I think he did what he wanted to do, what he had to do. Okay, maybe not what he wanted to do, but he did as much as he could in this time that he was allowed. I did want to share a story. Dennis Bermudez is actually one of the few fighters that I've met. One of the first fighters I met at my first live UFC event, UFC 184, back in 2015. There was a lot of fighters roaming about the arena uh, before the event, and I was basically roaming the streets drunk with my friend who had purchased a bottle of moonshine and had stashed it in a Gatorade bottle and was basically getting drunk on the streets of LA. And me, being his best friend, I didn't want him to get arrested or die on me, so I decided to join in on the festivities, and I ended up getting pretty fucked up a few hours before the event. And in the middle of drinking, I saw Dennis Bermudez walking down the street, and my nephew, who was with me, who had also indulged a little bit, we're like, "Hey, let's go say what's up." Decided to take a picture with him. I guess it was quite obvious of how fucked up we were. He was telling me and my nephew, like, "Hey, you guys all right? We're good." I guess it was, noticeable. But yeah, we ended up taking a picture. I'll actually post it with the post of this podcast. The picture I took of him, I took with him. We did a stare down. He's very serious, and I'm there just smiling like an idiot because of how drunk and speechless I am. I'm taking a stare down picture with a UFC fighter. But yeah, that's one of my good and early memories of MMA. So thank you, Dennis Bermudez, for taking time out of your day to take a picture with a drunken Mexican on the streets of LA. Um, Moving on, I'm going to the first of the to the first fight that Reen and I uh, predicted. We took picks for. Uh, Sorry, the name escapes me. Joanne Calderwood versus Ariana Lipsky. JoJo won an easy decision. Had a few problems, had a few issues in the first couple of seconds, but she adjusted, went to grappling, and basically had her way with the newcomer. I was very impressed. I thought she might grapple. I just didn't think she'd be that gung ho about it. What did you think, Rain? Is this just good game planning, or do you think JoJo's just really upped her game and she's just a totally different fighter now?
I think it's both. I mean, she probably didn't want to stand with her that first couple minutes, right? I mean, Lipsy came in and landed some like combinations, and she immediately just took her to the ground and controlled her for the entire first round. The second round they kept it standing, so that was nice. I wanted to see a stand up fight too. So, but I mean, by then Lipsky was already tired, and she got tagged with that right hand of JoJo's. I mean, that kept on coming through. So it was pretty evenly matched, though, I think, in the second round. And then pretty much the third round started off where the second round left off, right? Um, but yeah, that spinning back elbow hurt her, hurt Lipsky, and it seemed like she didn't want nothing to do with the standing again. So immediately got her in a headlock and took her down, and JoJo was just comfortable on the ground once again, attacking from the bottom position. And I thought she was gonna get a submission win, but no, Lipsky is just a tough girl. I mean, her defense is on point. It's just she couldn't get anything done, not against JoJo. So good on JoJo. She really needed that win.
Yeah, I do commend Lipsky for her defense. I know you can look at it as like, oh, well, she didn't do much. She just survived. But, I mean, to get out of those positions, she was in many different sub attempts, chokes, arm bars, you name it. She was in danger quite in a few moments, and she did good. I commend her for that. But yeah, obviously she needs some work. Maybe it was the octagon jitters. Maybe she just wasn't prepared for Joe trying to strike with her at all. But I think she'll grow from this. I think she'll come back better. I'm not sure who she can take on next. The only thing that kind of comes to mind is uh, the loser of Jennifer Maia versus Alexis Davis, because it's one of the few fights coming up where it would kind of make sense. Lipsky still, in my mind, she still is a top contender. She just needs to get that win to prove it. So I think an opponent like that could be good. But yeah, Reen got that one right. She went with JoJo. I went with Lipsky, so that was one in the books for one in the bag for her. The ESPN headliner, big ESPN, the prelim headliner basically, Cowboy versus Hernandez. There's another one where Reen got me. She went with Cowboy. She had faith in the old dog, and I went with the young gun. But yeah, Alexander got his ass whooped, all that and then some. Second round TKO. Cowboy both looked good and bad to me. He looked good, obviously. He won a fight that not a lot of people were expecting him to win. But I don't think technically he was all there. I think his punches were a little sloppy. I think he was leading with his chin at times. Just Hernandez wasn't able to capitalize. But big props to Cerrone for not just winning, but fighting against his natural, disposition. We all know he can get flustered with shit talking and aggressive early starters, but he handled it. He handled it very well.
Man, that was a fun fight. That was a fun fight. I like that fight. I mean, Hernandez, like, he started really aggressive early on. Like, he took a lot of damage too. It was so crazy. And by 4 minutes into the round, like, he already slowed down. Like, he took so much damage. Like, he kept on running into those knees, man. It was crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
He just kept eating them.
yeah, Cowboy just kind of took that approach. Like, all right, you want to be in the big pool, you want to be with the big fish. You're gonna sink or swim. That's literally what he did to him. Just put the pressure on him, and hey, let's see what you're really made of, type thing.
Yeah, and I think he won performance of the night, and they both won money off of the fight of the night. So I mean, that was a really good fight.
Yeah, Cowboy walked away with an extra 100 G's, which is, obviously we know he likes to get those post fight checks, but I'm sure his family appreciates it now. So yeah, good for him. Word is now it seems like it's almost all but assured that the Conor fight is a possibility, if not likely, for his next fight. Who knows when or if it'll happen, because Conor still has this issue with Nevada. I mean, even if they don't fight in Nevada for the next fight, he needs to get it resolved before he gets licensed again. So I think it's safe to assume that he will get licensed. It's just a matter of what the punishment will be. I mean, do you think he'll face any kind of stiff suspension reign, or you think he can? I'm thinking like summer, like maybe International Fight Week might be a good time to do this if Cowboy wants to wait, because who knows if he may be still the old Cowboy and wants to take a fight in between.
I don't know anymore, especially with this whole testing thing. I mean, just seems like it's cool to do, you know. I don't want to talk about Jones, but it just comes up like the rules are not there anymore. You know what I mean? So I mean, if you make money, then it just seems like anything that you do, it's just cool. Just pay a fine and yeah, come on back, type of thing. Especially with Nevada, like they welcome that, right? They want that money.
Oh,
So
you mean in general? Just, I mean, I guess you can. The old school example of this was Mayweather. You know, remember he took a he was able to book a fight before he went to jail for beating his wife. He was supposed to go to jail, and it's like, oh, can I fight before? And he ended up going to jail like a few weeks after his fight with Cotto, I believe. So
oh
yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess you're right with the commissions. This is nothing new.
yeah, so who knows what's gonna happen? But it seems like it's already secured. I have to like listen to what Brendan Shaw was saying because I noticed that on YouTube that he's I guess this fight is already done. It just hasn't been announced yet. So I have to go back and take a look at that and see what's going on. But it seems like it's already been confirmed or somehow because they're like going back and forth and having a good time with this. Like, oh yeah, I'll drink whiskey with you. Oh no, I'll bring the Budweiser. Let's make this happen.
Yeah,
So
I've seen some of those tweets. It's so weird because they're being like too friendly, and I don't understand why.
yeah,
There
we'll
should be
see.
immediate shit talk from the beginning. To me, anyway. Like just go right at it and get people amped for the fight. You've been talking shit before. It'd be nothing new.
Right. So I don't know. Like I think I read somewhere where they don't understand why Cowboys being so nice and Cowboys kind of like begging for this fight pretty much. But hey, man, I'm ready to see it. It's been what over a year since they last shit talked. So I
Yeah,
think it'll be the fight to make.
it's been a while. Yeah, I don't think anyone's gonna be mad about it, especially that it's not just a fun fight. I don't care if Connor wins or loses the fight, but I know the UFC does, so it is still a winnable fight for Connor. I'm sure he'll be the favorite. But if Cowboy wins, that's not necessarily a bad thing either. That's actually quite a good thing because Cowboy's very well known, but he's still not exactly the household name because he hasn't gotten that huge win. I mean, beating Connor, that's all anybody needs. I think he can become a star like overnight. I think he'll become a bigger star than Nate Diaz, maybe even bigger than John Jones. He'll probably be up there as like a top 2 or 3 draw if he can keep up the momentum and get some good fights ahead of him. So yeah, I think it's a win-win regardless for the fans and maybe even for the UFC. So yeah, just go ahead and book it. Sooner the better. Hopefully everything goes well with the commission and we don't have to worry about any of this. But yeah, again, Reen took this one. She picked Cowboy and I foolishly picked Hernandez. So 2 in the bag for her thus far. Um, then we went to who was it? Rachel Ostovich. She lost. Another loss for me. I picked her, and Reen picked Paige, as many people did because it looked like she was the favorite. I don't know. I don't know what more to add to this one. Like it's sad. I think most people were rooting for Rachel, even if you picked Paige. I think most people were rooting for Rachel, but um, just a tough spot. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I also feel that it's really tough to know where she's at because obviously she went through something traumatic and had probably been going through traumatic stuff up to this point. We don't know how far the abuse went back, but having her family there, it was nice. It was touching and all, but obviously it's not very practical when you're fighting another, let's just say adequate fighter, an equally matched fighter. I don't think your family being in your ear hooting and hollering is going to help when you need actual technical advice. So part of me thinks that she lost the fight because she didn't have much of a game plan going into the second round. But I also acknowledge that Paige is a very game scrappy opponent and that she's very opportunistic with her submissions at times.
Yeah, Rachel was winning that fight though. That first round, I
Yeah,
think she won that fight, right? Yeah, because her striking and her grappling, like I mean, Paige had no answers for that. I mean, Rachel just took her down easily. And we saw that with the second round too. And, it was fun to watch them grapple, but eventually Paige got that confusing finish. I didn't know what had happened at first. I'm like, what happened? Um, but yeah, and when they replayed it, Rachel tapped. So yeah, it was sad. I was rooting for her too, even though I picked Paige, but I mean, she looked good. Rachel looked good. I mean, she showed some improvements, I thought, but just couldn't execute it this time around.
Yeah, I don't think she's like in danger of being cut or anything like that. It's just you just wish for the best. It was just a bad moment in time, and you wanted her to have that glory, that sweet taste and feel of victory, but it just wasn't meant to be. But she'll come back. I don't know if she'll come back better. That's the question. But I hope she could get a win in her next one, because if she can't win, she gets another fight. If she can't win, that's probably not going to spell good things for her. But more than anything, I hope her, I wish the best for her and her family, and obviously her daughter. I hope she doesn't have to suffer what she went through already, and I hope she just gets everything in line. Maybe take some time off, maybe a good 6, 7, 8 months off, and comes back and takes a well matched fight, and does the best she can and gets the W there. But good on Rachel just for fighting. It was good to see her fight, but I know she's the one that needed it, so I hope she's not too down about that, because she did give a very valiant effort. Moving on though, this is where it turns around a little bit for me. Benavidez versus Ortiz. I picked Benavidez. Reen picked Ortiz, so that was the first win of the night for me. Good fight, basically mostly grappling match, but very high paced, very intense. Just scrambling around like little lizards, man, with endless cardio. I got tired watching the fight, but yeah, it's not usually my type of fight, but I enjoyed it regardless. I thought it was very good.
Yeah, it was crazy because Benavidez dropped Ortiz in the first round, and he like quickly recovered. So
Yeah,
I thought it was gonna be over then, but man, yeah, just 3 rounds of wrestling and high level grappling and going back and forth. I think what really hurt Ortiz too is just those kicks, man, to the leg. Goodness, he was like chopping those legs down, and then eventually he was, Benavidez was taking down Ortiz with ease. So, but yeah, that was a fun fight, man. It was just back and forth, like high rate, high speed. I hope they don't do away with the division because it really is fun watching them fight.
yeah. Well, we'll get to that in a moment because of the main event. It's still not a lot answered, but yeah, Benavidez, if everything goes well, he should have a bright future if we're assuming rationally, but who the hell knows nowadays. Moving on from that, Gregor Gillespie versus Yancy Medeiros. Both Rina and I got this one right. We both went with Gillespie, and man, did he put a stamp on his victory. He did basically everything he wanted with Medeiros. I mean, Medeiros landed one strike in the whole fight, and he looked lost from Jump Street. He looked like he didn't want to be in there after a round, which is says a lot, because I think we all know how tough Yancey is, but he looked like he was looking for a way out in that fight, which speaks volumes of how good Gregor Gillespie is.
Yeah, I like Yancey. It was so sad to watch. I mean, especially with him talking about how he changed his, his eating habits, his life around, he's training better, and to perform like that, I mean, it's tough. So hats off to Gillespie, man. Like he completely dominated him. There's nothing he could do. You know, Yancey looked like he wanted to give up at one point. Just he looked so like out of it. Like there's nothing he could do. As soon as he got up, he's like right back down on the ground again. So yeah, good on Gillespie. It sucks that he lost his equipment though at the end of the fight. Like his whole bag was taken by someone. But
Yeah,
yeah, 12-0 I think now, 13-0. It's crazy.
yeah. I blame the weed smoking for Yancey's loss. Made him made him lackadaisical, unmotivated, all the things that weed does. He can have all these things going on in his life, but if he's still smoking the hippie lettuce, he's never going to be a champion in the sport.
That might be true, huh? Too
Nah,
much of
I'm
that.
kidding. I'm kidding. I don't have a problem with weed, but I just wanted to crack a joke at the notorious pothead Yancy Medeiros. He's very good, but yeah, this is just a rough style matchup. I think they could fight 100 times and he'll lose 100 times. I just think that's how good Gregor is, and just what a bad matchup it is for Yancey. But man, I hope Gillespie gets someone. I mean, he needs fuck the top 15. He needs a top 10 opponent. Um, Maybe it's a little too much. Well, you know what? I actually no, I just thought about this right now. I hadn't even given it any thought up until this point, but I'd love to see him against like Kevin Lee, because after that last fight with Iaquinta, I think there's a lot. I think we have more questions about Kevin Lee than we have answers. I think it seems like at the beginning of last year we had a lot of hope. We were very hyped on him, and the way that Iaquinta fight turned out, I think we got a lot of questions now. So I want to see how good Kevin Lee can do against a guy like Gillespie. If Gillespie loses against Kevin Lee, that's not a bad situation at all. Kevin Lee gets a good win, gets back into legit contention, and Gillespie learns, from a tough dude like Lee. But if Gillespie wins, like I mean, I think basically becomes an immediate top five. What do you think about that matchup, Rain?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'll be a fun fight for sure. Yeah, Kevin Lee is number 5, so God, if he could beat Kevin, then he will be right up there for sure. Quinta is number 4, Dustin's 3, Connor. Yeah.
I originally wanted to say that he should fight the winner of Gagey versus Barboza, but one, I think that's a little bit too much right now, and two, win or loss for either one of those guys, they might not fight for another 2 years because I don't think they're going to be able to walk for at least a year after that fight. Both of them.
Yeah.
The leg kick that they're going to take is going to be disgusting.
Yeah, I was thinking Justin too, but I forgot he's fighting Edson. And when is that? Isn't that coming up soon?
That's, I believe, in March. I think that's the Philly card.
Ooh,
end of March.
Gonna be fun.
They're gonna look like Lieutenant Dan after the fight.
Oh my god. Oh man. Yeah.
Yes, going with the Forrest Gump references, folks.
Yeah, I don't see anybody else really for Gillespie, like Paul Felder. Well, I don't even know what's happening with him. Dan Hooker, Alexander Hernandez, Nate Diaz is still on the roster. James Vick, Anthony Pettis is gonna fight.
Yeah, Felder. That's a good one. Felder's supposed to fight Vick. I think he should smash him. I think that should be an easy win for Felder. Yeah, Felder could be a good step up, but I think it's kind of going to leave him in the same spot he's in now. A guy like Lee is a good matchup and can really propel him. But I think he's also one of these guys that a lot of people aren't going to want to fight because he's so mean, he's so gritty. He can be boring at times and nobody knows him. It's like, what's the upside of fighting him? You know, you're probably going to look bad.
Yeah, he's like a Khabib. Nobody wants to fight him.
But then that's why I like Kevin Lee too, because people talk shit about Kevin Lee, that he's too cocky and he's this and that. But I've never seen him turn down a fight. So I think if you offer him Gillespie, I really doubt he'll say no. And I think he can make it exciting and talk a lot of shit and build the fight up. I hope.
I'd be down to fight that. I'll be down to watch that one.
I hope Dana and Shelby and Maynard and everyone over there, I hope if they're not listening, I hope they get the same idea as me, and I hope we see that soon because that could be really good, and I'll be psyched for that. That'd be a good like ESPN headliner, you know, to me anyway. But moving on, excuse me, we didn't talk about this in the last show because we didn't want to give Greg Hardy any kind of shine, but given what happened, I think we need to address some things. So for I don't know who doesn't know at this point, but Greg Hardy has got his first professional MMA loss due to disqualification because he kneed Alan Crowder in the face as he was down. The only speculation was, did he do it on purpose or not? Some people are saying that it wasn't intentional because he's such a noob. He doesn't fully understand the rules, and him being tired didn't help with that. And others like me are saying that it was fully intentional, that he was looking for a way out. He was getting beat up and humiliated and he couldn't take it. So he decided to go for a cheap shot. What's your take on it, Reen?
I watched that fight again, actually. And yeah, I think he was mad. He was upset. It was a little emotional. because he was being taunted. You know, this guy was getting in his face, talking a whole bunch of shit. I think he called him a bitch, right? I'm
A
trying to read
lot,
lips on that.
a lot,
Yeah,
like
so
Nick Diaz style.
yeah, so I don't think he really liked that, and I think it was just emotion. Of course, yeah, he can say he didn't know the rules or whatever, or he's new to the sport, but I think it was just purely emotional, and he went for that knee.
Yeah, I mean, some people get mad with any kind of taunting, but usually when people taunt, it's like them sticking their tongue out, putting their hands down, like touching their chin. It's never anything like egregious. But yeah, I mean, Crowder stepped his game up to fucking. He gunned it to 10, man. Yep, straight up hitting him and calling him a bitch. It's one thing to taunt and just trying to egg you on to hit them so they can probably go with the counter strike or something. Crowder was just fighting his fight, beating him up and insulting him. So it's like it wasn't a thing of him, be getting mad because he's not fighting and he's just trying to provoke you. Like, no, he's talking shit and demeaning you as he's beating you up. So I'm sure that's a new thing for for Greg Hardy, who's had his issues in the past with. Seems like he's always been the hammer and never been the nail.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like he was gonna die when he was sitting there getting advice from his coach.
between rounds, the one round.
Yeah, yeah, like I'm like, dude, he's gonna like pass out.
I
So
think
I
even
think
like
that
big
had a lot to do with
country,
it too.
even big dudes like Big Country and Mark Hunt, like have you even seen guys like that huffing and puffing like that?
Dude, Derek Lewis. I was thinking Derek Lewis. I'm like,
There
I
goes
don't think I've
another
ever seen
one.
him like that.
The guy whom
You know?
after the fight where he won, he said, "Fuck what you talking about. I need to work on my cardio." Even that guy.
Yeah, because I was like looking at him like, oh my god, and yeah, they were telling him to slow down, and he kind of did, but I think him being called a bitch, he didn't really like that.
Just
It
a
was
little
getting
bit.
emotional. Yeah, it was an emotional like I'm pissed now. That's what I think, anyways. I mean, he shouldn't have been the co-main event. He doesn't belong in there, but it just sucks for him because here's another issue with him.
I hope if there's anything that Dana took away, aside from the fact that, quote, he can fight, I hope he took that away that, okay, maybe he's not ready for co-main event status just yet. And we probably shouldn't put him on big cards like our debut on ESPN, but we can only hope and pray that he listens and that he learns, which is
Well,
a tall task sometimes.
yeah, well, when I was watching it again, I was like, man, I really want Derek Lewis to beat his ass. That would be
Yeah,
fun.
as we were talking right now, when you brought his name up, I was like, man, that'd be a fun fight. I mean, it'd be in most cases, I would say it'd be criminal and very negligent, but given Greg Hardy's past, let him fucking have it, man. Just come on. If they license Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz 3, let these motherfuckers go at it. And by go at it, I
Right?
mean I hope Derek Lewis knocks his fucking face in. Yeah.
Two big guys going at it. I want to see whose cardio is going to be there. Probably Derek Lewis because I mean he's been doing pretty good lately. So,
And
but
then
yeah, I want to see him put him down.
Derek Lewis's history with fighting men who have allegedly beat women, like in Travis Brown.
Oh yeah, that's another reason why I brought it up. Like that's who I thought of when I rewatched the fight. I'm like, yeah, the Beast needs to be in here with him.
Yeah, and to be fair, not to excuse anything that Brown may or may not have done, but a lot of that stuff was alleged. None of that stuff went to court. With the stuff with Hardy, it did, he was quote unquote never prosecuted, but there was that did go the legal route. There's a lot more there with Hardy than there is with Brown. You can actually be rational and say, oh, it was all allegations with Brown. There's no allegations with Hardy. He absolutely did what he did, so that'll be fun. That'll be that'll be some fucking shit, man. Uh, I don't think Dana's gonna do that though, because he loves him for some god-forsaken reason.
Right? He's not going to have
Yeah,
him get killed.
we can only hope. But yeah. So moving on, we didn't talk about that fight. We didn't need to, but Greg Hardy finds a way to keep himself in the limelight. But moving on, main event: Dillashaw versus Cejudo for the flyweight title. Lasts about 30 seconds. Cejudo takes him out with a kick slash push slash right hand to the temple. Crazy, crazy fight. One of the craziest 30-second fights you'll see. There was some controversy about the stoppage. I personally thought it was fine, but Dillashaw was really nagging about it after the fight at the conference. It's just an interesting time for the flyweights. Dana wouldn't confirm anything about the status of the division, if it's coming, if it's staying, if it's going, if there's going to be a rematch at 135. I mean, God, I hope there's not a rematch at 125, but crazier things have happened. What were your thoughts about the whole thing, Rain, about the fight, the stoppage, everything?
He looked like he was beating up a little kid. Jesus, man. I didn't think it was going to be like that. I didn't think it was going to be so fast, but call it what you want, early stoppage or not, like Henry was beating his ass point blank. All that shit talking he did, TJ, all that talking about how he's gonna shut down the flyweight division. Like, no, you got your ass beat. You got your ass handed to you by a 125er. So gotta give it up for Henry for executing it and less than a minute. He almost got the fastest knockout, right?
Um,
It was
it
wait,
may have been the fastest knockout. If it's not, it's at least second. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely up there.
yeah, insane, but I'm not going to hate on him. I know he got my boy DJ traded, but respect to Henry, man. I picked TJ. I lost on this one.
I don't know. I know a lot of people don't like Henry because he's corny, and then this
He
is
is.
weird. He is corny, but for some reason it's like kind of lovable. I still think I said this before, way back in the day, and I still kind of believe it. But now it's like it's not as annoying. It's just funny. I called him like we all know somebody like Henry Cejudo. He's basically like that uncle that you have that went to AA and he's trying to tell everybody to do better with their lives. He's that guy to me. He still seems like that guy, but
It's perfect.
he still seems like that guy
That's
to me. I think what happened. Speaking of, we were talking about Benavidez earlier. He was on the card, but I think it was on Tough when they were coaching that season. Benavidez is he just didn't like him. I think it's just one of those things. You just see the dude, you just don't like his face, you just want to punch him. I think that was always just their beef. Like, dude, I just don't like you. You just rub me the wrong way. And Benavidez was talking shit and curse at him, and Cejudo would do this thing like, bro, like what's wrong with you, man? Like, what did I do to you? Why are you being this way? I'm trying to be a role model. Well, what are you doing? You have this platform and you're just being negative and cursing at me. Like, why would you do such things? And Benavidez was just like, fuck you, man. I'm not trying to be anybody's role model. Get the fuck out of here with that corny shit. But he's still that guy, but for some reason his corniness has kind of grown on me. But man, I mean that shit that he's been saying, that corniness may have gotten him one of the Bella twins. So maybe he knows better than me.
Yeah, like he has his new haircut or whatever. I guess I don't know. There's something I don't know. He has a swag now. There's something different about him now. Or maybe it's the whole Nikki Bella thing.
It's the new belt. The
Is
old belt
that what it
wasn't
is?
good. Yeah, there's good juju in that horrendous looking piece of shit.
That's hilarious. Well, hopefully Henry, it works out for you with Nikki Bella. Might have to fight John Cena, but see what happens with that.
I mean, it's the ultimate. That's a real fight. That's pay per view shit right there. The gold medalist, the choir boy versus hustle, loyalty, and respect.
John Cena. I don't even know why people think he's good looking. He's ugly.
Well, how can anyone think he's good looking? We don't know what he looks like.
Oh my god. There you go again with that joke.
It's
Got me again.
it's always funny. It's never not funny. It will it will always be funny to me. But maybe I have a corny sense of humor, which is why I like Henry Cejudo. But yeah, that was the main event. That was where I got my victory. Although Reen got more in the bag than me that night, I ended up picking Benavidez and I ended up picking Cejudo. So although like I said, although I came out on the short end, it was good to know that I was right in the big fight that mattered. And even though I picked Cejudo to win, I never thought he could have done it like that.
Yeah, that was a fun card, regardless of what went on with the co-main event, and it was a good card all around.
except for the goddamn 15 minutes of college basketball that led into it that had me having a damn near panic attack. Fuck
Oh
that
God.
shit. And it's gonna keep happening. I hate to break it to people, and I hate to break it to myself, but it's the truth. ESPN is not known for timing shit out right. MMA fans, start calling in those bomb threats to those fucking college gymnasiums because it's gonna keep happening. Just brace yourselves. Get used to it because
Oh God.
it's gonna keep happening.
Oh, so let me ask you then. So if you wanted to buy pay-per-view, can you buy it off of that app too, or do you have to go to a different source?
ESPN Plus, the app,
Yeah.
I doubt it. That I'm sure UFC wants that money. I think it's UFC Fight Pass or through your cable or satellite provider. I don't
Damn.
think ESPN's getting a cut of that the pay per view. I don't think UFC would ever allow that.
Oh, damn. Okay. Good to know
Oh
because I'm still new to this whole ESPN Plus thing. And
yeah. Plus, I mean, a lot of people were complaining that they had commercials in the app, but to me, I feel like, well, it's already $5 a month. It's not much that you're paying for. If you're gonna get a commercial or two, I think it's a small price to pay, especially when the UFC is going to have most of their cards, and then you get the documentaries, boxing, and then all the other sports that come with it. It should, I feel and assume that it's gonna get better, but who knows? The only thing is, I hope they keep it at $5 because if it goes up, I feel that they're gonna lose quite a bit of subscribers.
well, I was reading that that night they added 568,000 more subscribers. So I wonder how many people are actually going to keep it
Yeah,
because they had that 7-day free trial. But yeah, that was like the biggest sign up day. And I guess, there's college basketball and everything else going on. The Pacquiao fight was going on and they still did huge numbers. So I wonder what's going to happen.
yeah, we're gonna talk about that Pacquiao fight later because it wasn't nothing, which was surprising because it should have been. At least that's what I thought. But yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a minute. But yeah, that basically wraps up ESPN Plus, the debut card. I agree with Rain. Entertaining, fun card all around. But moving on, we're going to talk about the fight happening this weekend. Bellator MMA, Fedor versus Bader. Yes, I'm saying it correctly. Fedor versus Ryan Bader for the heavyweight Grand Prix title. Seems like, well, I know that Ryan Bader's the favorite, and most people are picking him to just wrestle fuck the shit out of Fedor. But I'm just gonna go out and say it. I'm gonna pick Fedor. I'm gonna pick Fedor here. I think he's. I'm very surprised. I know people kind of count him out because of his record and his recent record and how bad he's looked in some of his losses, but he really hasn't looked bad. He's just been getting caught. And I'm not sleeping on Bader's power. Obviously, he knocked out King Mo badly, and he's knocked a few people out at light heavyweight too. And obviously, his wrestling's not to be messed with. But I still don't fully trust his chin. And it's obvious that Fedor still has power. He still has speed, and he still has his reflexes, which by all accounts he shouldn't have. So I think he's going to do this early. I think he might stop a takedown attempt or two. And I think he's going to land an uppercut or some wild overhand right and drop Bader and ground and pound him. What do you think, Rain?
Oh, it's so hard to call. He's 42 and he still has crazy speed and power. Oh man, I was gonna go with Bader, but now that you said that about his chin, it is suspect.
Yeah, I believe we talked about this off air, but I do really feel this. For some reason I feel that it's going to be similar to when Ryan Bader fought Glover Teixeira. Glover Teixeira beat him on his way to fighting John Jones for the title, and he was doing good in that fight. He put him up against the fence. He was landing some combos. He hurt Teixeira once or twice, but then Teixeira kind of just got his wits about him and landed this fucking left right combo and dropped him and finished him. And I think something like that's gonna happen. I think he's gonna have his moment. I think he might hurt him. He might put him against the fence. He might clinch with him. But I think Fedor is gonna just pull out just one of those casting Russian hooks and just drop him. I don't think it'll be a one hitter quitter, but I think he's gonna hurt him and finish him.
Man, if I don't know, Bader's faster. He seems hungry. He needs this win, especially against the legend. Man, it's so hard to call. I'll just go opposite of you, just to make this fun. But if he wins this, then he's the heavyweight champion. Is that how this works? Or
Yeah, because there hasn't been a heavyweight champion in Bellator for like over a year, maybe even two. I don't even. I think Volkov was their last champion. I could be wrong about that, but I believe he was the last one.
dang, so he'll be the champ in Bellator then.
Yeah, yeah, and even crazier because he won a tournament. It's not like he just beat some random Bellator heavyweight who's not good enough to cut it in the UFC. He would have beat King Mo, Matt Mitrione, and Fedor, which is pretty impressive.
Wow. So yeah, if he gets this win, then that'll be pretty insane. So yeah, I'll go with Bader.
Yeah, and here's another thing, and I mean, you cast your vote. I'm not trying to convince you otherwise, but here's another thing I thought of right now too is we haven't seen it recently, but I gotta think that Fedor still has submissions. I mean, if you look at Fedor's record, it's more submissions than knockouts, and I don't see any reason of why his submission savvy would leave him at this stage. So if you were to try to get a Kimura or an armbar while Bader's wrestling him, I mean it'd be pretty shocking, but I know he still has that ace up his sleeve. So
Mm.
it's just so weird for me that I've been hating on Fedor for years, basically since the minute I started watching MMA. But I blame my girlfriend. She's the biggest Fedor fan, and I guess just the fact that she gets happy when he wins makes me happy, so I don't hate him as much. And there's also, like, I think it has also something to do with the fact that his daughter got beat up by some Ramzan Kadyrov goons because he didn't approve of children fighting in Akhmat MMA. I think after that, I kind of gained sympathy for him too. So
They don't test in Bellator, right?
you
Sorry.
know, no, it's not even a defending thing. I want to be like Reen, don't be naughty, don't say things like that. But I don't have any reply to that because I should say, well, normally that's not the case, but they're fighting in California, and we know they do everything by the book. But Jonathan, goddamn Dwight Jones, had to fuck everything up, and I can't even say that about my home state anymore. So I'm just
I
gonna
totally
agree with you
forgot
and say
that.
that you're right. Yeah, in
I
the same
totally
arena that happened last month. It was in the forum last month that he beat Gustafson.
Oh yeah, then
Yeah.
yeah, karma. They got them bad juju down there.
I mean, you could say new year, new me, new year, new commission, but that was a fucking month ago, man. And then Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell was the month before that, so yeah,
God, California gonna California. They're just yeah. I totally
yeah,
forgot it was down there.
it's gonna take a long time. Well, you know who didn't forget? About 15,000 people in Vegas.
Oh yeah, sorry Vegas. Sorry
Yeah,
folks.
sorry to all those people. Yeah, means a lot to them. I'm sure they're. I wouldn't be surprised if they're still fucking salty about it, but especially the fact that Nunes won in the way she did. It would have been worse if John Jones would have lost, but man, that I mean Nunes was the star of that night, so they did miss out on some history. Don't want to talk about things in the past. Let's look to the future. Oh, another thing with the Bellator card, Aaron Pico's fighting. Speaking of picograms and stuff, Aaron Pico's fighting. He's in the co-main event against Harry Corrales. Kind of journeyman guy. He's fought a who's who at featherweight. Usually loses to the top name guys, but always provides a good fight. Seems like this is if not, I don't think this is a step up from Leandro Higo. It seems like it might be a sideways step or even a slight step back. I don't see any reason why Pico doesn't take care of this guy quickly. But yeah, it's just I don't know, Rina. Is it too? Do you think he'll fight for a title by the end of this year? I mean, it's just to the point now. It's like, well, how many guys does he have to take out before he really gets that spotlight, that main event, number one contender or title fight? Do you think he's? How close do you think he is?
I don't really know much about Aaron Pico, to be honest with you. I should though, because
Have you not seen
I
the
guess he's
highlights of all his knockouts?
yeah, I've seen that, but I mean, he just has knockouts, right? Like, do we know how well he does on the ground? But then again, they don't
He's
really have that much competition in Bellator, right?
he's a NCAA national champion. I believe multiple time NCAA national champion. His base is wrestling. he grew up boxing for a bit, which is why he knows how to punch, and he's just a gifted athlete, so he has that power. But his base is wrestling.
Damn. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So he probably will be champion by the end of the year then.
He's basically
Because
doing the
man,
Chuck Liddell thing, the prime Chuck Liddell, the using your wrestling in reverse to keep it standing and just fucking dudes up with his hands.
right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Because he has some wicked knockouts. So, yeah, I forgot he was actually fighting again. He looked good in that picture that Amy took. I don't know if you saw that or not.
I may have skimmed over it.
He's
Yeah,
such a young kid.
yeah. It's one of those things like he's so young and kind of inexperienced that you don't want to throw him to the wolves because he had that bad experience for his debut, but he's been
Hmm.
looking so good. It's like, well, what else can you do with him? Especially with Bellator, it's like it's not like you're putting him in the UFC featherweight division. It's not like he's fighting Brian Ortega and Moicano and Swanson and Ricardo Lamas. Like the division's good. I'm not shitting on the Bellator featherweight division, but he's not facing the top of the top, you know.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bold take to say that he'll be champion by the end of the year, but I mean, I think he's very capable of doing it. So if I had to put money on it, I'd just say he would. But
Yeah, it could happen, especially if he gets like a quick finish again.
yeah. I mean, he should be able to take this guy out. I mean, crazier things have happened, but given their history, it seems like it's all but assured. Oh, another guy. You've said that you don't know too much about him, but I think you know a little bit more than me. What's the deal with this Jack Swagger guy? He's making his MMA debut on this Bellator card as well, getting paid $50,000 apparently for it, which I guess is a good deal. I think they saw CM Punk how he did in the UFC, and they don't want to go full in on the pro wrestler. How do you know how big he was in wrestling? Because I've heard of him like once or twice, but I know how big CM Punk was when he came in the UFC. I don't know how big this guy was, or how long he's been wrestling, or how long he's been out of wrestling, if he's even been out at all. Do you know any of that?
Yeah, he's out of wrestling. I think he's been training like MMA for about a year. I think it's been a year now.
That's
But
good.
no amateur fights though. I mean, he's going straight pro.
So he is going the full CM Punk route.
Yeah. I mean, at least he has an actual collegiate, wrestling background.
That helps a lot.
Very. So, I mean, he has that behind him, but this guy that he's fighting, I mean, I'm just checking out his record, John Wayne Kaiser. He's 40 years old. He has several like amateur fights. Um Only two pro fights though, but when I saw
He's
some of
two
the
and
weigh-in
zero.
videos, he's 1-1
Oh,
pro.
that's fair, I guess.
But yeah, if you look at like the weigh-in videos, he like towers over this dude.
These are
So,
heavyweights, right?
yeah, they're fighting
Yeah,
heavyweight. So
it's heavyweight and it's Bellator heavyweights. Like, man, this is a whole another level. Like, anything can happen. I don't think it's right to. I don't even though I know next to nothing about this guy, I wouldn't count him out just yet. CM Punk was different because he was actually cutting weight and he actually had to fight in a good division, one of the best divisions in MMA actually in welterweight. Say what you want about Mickey Gall or Mike Jackson. Mickey Gall and Mike Jackson are much better than most newcomer heavyweights. So yeah, I think he's got a shot here. Although I know next to nothing about him or his opponent, I'll go out on a limb and say he'll win it.
yeah, well, this guy has been fighting since 2010. His opponent, and then Jack's coming in straight from the street, going pro. So it's gonna be interesting.
How old is Swagger? He's like in his late 30s, no? He's like 37, 38,
He, yeah, I think he's 36.
36.
But yeah,
And
he's
then
6'7". He's a big ass guy too.
damn. And the other thing is like, I know wrestling's quote unquote fake, but they take some bruises, man. They take some big hits. Like, I don't know how long he did pro wrestling for. Like, do you think he's got like his body's all messed up and stuff? You think he's all there physically?
I think he looks better now because he's been training MMA. Like his body looks great. His body looks great. That sounds really bad. No,
Well, yeah,
but
he's in shape. He's training. He's
he's
taking it seriously. Yeah, I
yeah,
guess
he's totally taking it seriously. So he looks great. So
that's good.
I mean, if he gets this win, good for him. Like hopefully he'll continue to do well. But yeah, they're probably just feeding him some dude off the street. Well, not really dude off the street, but 40-year-old guy, 6'1". I mean, damn.
Well, you actually enticed me. I know nothing about the guy, and now I actually want to watch it. So thank you for that, Rain.
Just to see the shit show. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it's Bellator. They're known for this shit, literally, But no, I'm
Yeah.
interested because I mean, CM Punk that's a true circus because it's like we're not expecting much and he shouldn't do much, and then the way that fight turned out, I mean, that was some bully beatdown shit. That was just pure embarrassment. But even if this guy gets embarrassed, maybe that's it for him. But he's a heavyweight. He'll have that power. Even if he doesn't know how to throw a punch very good, he can as long as he can clock him with one, he might do some damage. So let's see what he can do with it. Moving on, I just wanted to make a quick note. It's only 3 weeks into 2019, but I already got my wish. I wanted when we talked about what we had in store, what was coming for 2019. We were talking about a fighter we wanted to see come in the UFC, and I said mine was Sabina Mazo. Well, they announced earlier this week that she's been signed with the UFC and she's going to fight Rina at the end of March, I believe, on the UFC Philly card, the Gaethje Barboza card, which I think is also on Big ESPN. So that can be good. And I think they're matched up very well. Marina Moroz is she's not that great. The only thing that worries me is that she kind of has this weird style where people don't really know what to do and they kind of get caught like in a staring match with her, which Sabina has been known sometimes to just kind of stare and not do much. But I'm interested to see how she'll do because this isn't like that dangerous of an opponent where she's going to get submitted or knocked out right away. But if she can style and Moroz, which isn't easy to do, it'll say a lot about where she's at and what she can do. I know you haven't seen her too much in action, Reen, but I don't know. Like I said, I think this is a well matched fight. I think it's a well matched fight. I think she can do good, and she's so young. Even if you haven't seen much, you'll start to see more of her. I think she can. If they match her up well, she could probably be a contender by the end of the year.
Was she a champion in LFA? Because she's like 6-0. She's 21.
Yeah, she was a champion. She defended a belt for sure once, possibly twice.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have
she
to
trained.
study
She
up on
trains
her.
she trains at King's. Like I said when we recorded that show, I just wasn't too sure that she'd be brought in. One, because of her age, but two, I guess she's been going to school. She really wanted to focus on schoolwork. I don't know if she just didn't think she'd get a UFC offer yet, and when she got it, she just automatically said yes. But yeah, she's got some work to do. She's still really young, but she's got a great camp and a good style, and she hasn't been in these crazy wars. I'm not worried about her peaking or getting in, taking a lot of damage or anything. So I think she's promising. Once hopefully we don't have another Ariana Lipsky situation. JoJo was a tall task for anybody, but I don't think Moroz is that.
Yeah, the Colombian Queen. I like her nickname.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Is I don't know what the Colombian audience is in MMA, but she speaks Spanish from what I remember. She was born in Colombia, so yeah, she can. And like I said, she's not bad. She's not bad looking. She has a very interesting look. I think she could get a lot of eyes. No pun intended, given her weird like cat-like eyes. I think she can get a lot of eyes on her. We'll see. We'll see how the UFC actually tries to market her because I think they have something there. But yeah, thank you UFC for signing my number one pick for the fighter I want to see. Speaking of fighters coming into the UFC, there's this rumor swirling around that Ronda Rousey, yeah, that Ronda Rousey, that she's gonna approach her her pro wrestling career is nearing an end. The rumor is that she's gonna have a match at WrestleMania, and that's supposed to be her last wrestling appearance, her last WWE appearance. It's anyone's guess if that is true. It's anyone's guess what is next, but it seems like people are assuming that she's going to come back into MMA. Although that sounds crazy, and not a lot of people will believe that. I think we need to be honest here and say her acting career wasn't exactly great. I don't think many people in Hollywood are gonna want to hire her now. And fighting, obviously, she had a big fan base there. I don't know, Randy. I mean, do you think there's any possibility that she comes back? And if she does, I'm not fully ruling it out, but if she does, do you think there's any way she can get better? Do you think she'll leave Edmund if Edmund's even still alive? I don't know what happened to that guy. And do you think she can be anything other than what she already was?
I don't think she's coming back. I mean, why? To get punched in the face for what when she has all this money and she has
Do
a
you think
farm?
that's the? Does she have that farm already? I know she was like getting a lot of animals and stuff, but I don't know if she went
Yeah.
all in on that.
No, she has 6 goats, 4 ducks, 3 dogs, a steer, and a bunch of chickens.
Damn, you did your
Yeah, she
research.
has a farm. Yeah.
I was not expecting that. I was like, God damn, all right, she's not fucking around.
Yeah, she got a little small farm and she probably wants to be a mom soon too. So I mean, I don't see her doing that and the sport just keeps moving forward without her, right? I mean, she had no boxing before, so what is she going to do? Try to armbar bitches again? That doesn't work.
Do you think, maybe I'm just being cynical here, but do you think she has enough money to live off of? I know she made a grip of money in MMA, but I mean, do you think it's enough to make a life with?
I think so. Yeah,
And
I
then
mean,
I'm interested to know what the WWE was paying her too, because she wrestled what, like, it's been what, a year and a half tops?
I bet they gave her a lot of money, especially with all the merchandising too. And then she's doing
Um,
stuff outside of that. She's doing all these YouTube videos just off of her name, right? And she has her website. So
hmm.
I'm pretty sure she's making money. She doesn't live like a lavish lifestyle or anything like that. She lives on a farm with her husband. She's happy and content being out of the limelight, other than, WWE, but
Do you know where this farm is? I mean, we have a lot of agriculture here in California, so I wouldn't be surprised if it was in California. But I don't think she was living in Venice when she was fighting. I guess I'm just interested to see if she's nearby or if she went to like somewhere in rural Montana where nobody can ever catch a glimpse of her.
I thought she was in SoCal. I didn't think she actually left SoCal.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
it's not impossible to get a farm here, but yeah, you really have to look for it. You definitely have to go out of your way.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't I don't see her coming back. I mean, why should she? Who's she gonna fight? Where is she gonna fight? What division? Really? She's gonna go through the weight cut again?
And do you think this is a thing of, especially after the Charlotte Flair thing where she got Kendall sticked to death. It was the the boot of Charlotte's wrath. And I don't give a shit what you guys say the wrestling's fake. I at least saw this match and she got beat up, man. She really did hit her with that stick. She did take a couple bruises there. Do you think it's a thing of, especially after that match, that she saw the crowd kind of turned on her, that people were sick of her, and she's like, "Well, fuck it, this is reminding me too much of the MMA stuff," or you think Vince and Triple H and whoever kind of just had enough of her and just don't think she's that valuable to the company anymore?
I think it was always maybe like a year. I didn't think she was actually going to make a career of this. But at the same time, I think it has something to do with that too, because the crowd was turning on her. I mean, she was in what, SoCal, LA,
LA, the
and
same arena where she armbarred Kat Zingano in 14 seconds.
she was getting booed. And that's her crowd. She's from SoCal, so
Not just booed, Charlotte was getting cheered for assaulting her. They chanted, "You deserve it," as it was happening and after it happened. I know people talk shit about MMA fans that were fickle and cunty, but that's some next level shit.
yeah. So, I mean, you have these talented wrestlers that are not getting this push like Ronda, and I think people are starting to see that. Fans are starting to see that. You
So
know,
this is like, I mean, I've heard this with like John Cena, but I remember when I would watch wrestling when I was younger, the guy that I hated more than anybody was Triple H because he would never lose, and then even on the rare occasion that he would lose, he'd lose his belt or something. And literally, I remember those once where I forget when it happened or against who, but I remember I think it was like WrestleMania, one of the big WWE pay-per-views. He lost his title, which was like after like 2, 3 years straight of him not losing the title. He lost his title, And then the next night on Monday Night Raw, he won it back. Like I remember shit like that happening. Is it just one of those things? It's just like the crowd just gets sick. Like, all right, we know what we like, and this ain't it, type of thing.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't think she'll ever lose her title.
Well, yeah.
I don't think so. I mean, how would she react if she did? You know what I mean?
But it's, I mean, okay, I've been saying this whole thing of that wrestling's fake, but giving props. I mean, but we got to be fair here. Wrestling is fake. It's predetermined. I mean, nobody wins against Vince.
No, but I think for her, they probably made a deal and said, "Yeah, we're gonna do this, this, and this for you, and you can be like that Brock Lesnar character for the women's division. You're gonna be this dominant force." But you can't be dominant if you're not that great. I mean, she's a good wrestler. Don't get me wrong. She's doing really well for somebody that's only been it's been less than a year for her, right? But if you're going up against people like Charlotte Flair or Becky Lynch or Sasha Banks, it's like, hey man, like it's not fair to those girls to not get that push like Ronda is. So and hardcore wrestlers, they know this. I mean, hardcore wrestling fans, they know this. They've seen it. So the new people, not so much. And maybe that's what they were trying to do, is just capture that new audience.
Casuals, the
Yeah.
MMA crowd, yeah.
Yeah, and they probably exhausted all that by now. So I'm not surprised that she's probably going to walk away after WrestleMania. I thought maybe they would continue the storyline with the 4 horsewomen and, Jasmine Duke coming up and Marina Shafir and, yeah, Shayna Baszler, like she's with NXT. I thought they were going to do some fun storyline, but it doesn't look like they were going to do that either.
The good old days of the
can
4 horsewomen. Oh my god,
Yeah.
that was a glorious time.
Because what can you do? Like, Ronda's getting booed. You see these girls come up, but MMA fans know what's up,
Yeah. You know what?
with them.
You know what's interesting? I remember a lot of people kind of had like a mild, especially the Ronda, lovers at the time, and a lot of the casuals kind of had like a mini panic attack when she lost to. It kind of happened with Nunes too, but more so when she lost to Holly Holm. That people were kind of like, oh my god, MMA, women's MMA is done. Like she was the only one that could have that she got it this far, and she's the only one that could carry it. What's Holly Holm gonna do? What's all these other girls gonna do? What's gonna happen with the sport? What's gonna happen with women now? And obviously we've been good. We haven't had a star like Ronda as of yet, but obviously the women have persevered even when men's flyweight hasn't. So I mean that says a lot. But from what I see of wrestling, although I don't normally watch it, it seems like the women in the WWE specifically are like they're a force to be reckoned with, man. I think there's people who don't even really like wrestling, but they'll watch some women's matches just because I don't know, maybe it's just some pervy shit. They want to see little girls in their underwear type shit, or But even I recognize the talent that these girls have. I would watch Trish Stratus and Tori Wilson and some of these girls back in the day when I would watch wrestling, but yeah, I was definitely not at this level. Like even when I was a little kid, when I'd watch that, like, oh yeah, hot girls fighting, whatever. But even I knew that their skills weren't all there. I knew it was nothing like watching the men wrestle, but it seems like they're definitely up there now. Like they can hold their own, not just hold their own, but they're like a big part of why people like the WWE right now.
Yeah, the women are definitely more popular, it seems like, than the men right now.
Yeah, so it's not just me, right?
No, it's not just you. So, I mean, even if Ronda did leave, I mean, they'll be fine.
Yeah, they don't need her.
Just like that.
I mean, I think she needs them more than they need her.
Yeah, I mean, she helped get more eyes on WWE, great, but the women were always there and they're going to continue to be there. And just like the UFC, women will always be there. Thank you, Ronda, for, making that happen, but they're going to continue to be there.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean,
good luck to her, man. Whatever happens to her, good luck to her.
I'm starting to believe that she will retire, even if it's not WrestleMania, probably soon. Because it's interesting that you're saying that, like, you never thought that this was a long-term thing for her. Maybe just like a bucket list thing, like, oh, I always wanted to wrestle, so fuck it, I did it already. But yeah, I mean, I wish her well, regardless of what's happened to her. I wouldn't mind seeing her get beat up again, but I hope she's smart enough to realize like, why would you do that to yourself? But
I mean, seriously, if Chris is still in UFC, like,
Oh
Would
God,
you
no,
come back?
no,
Yeah,
no, no, no,
because
no.
that would be the discussion, I think, because that was left on the table.
And it's the only quote unquote money fight. I mean, I think even like a Holly Holm rematch, like it would sell, but when that fight was first being talked about, that was supposed to be like a 2, 3 million pay-per-view buy type thing. Now it's like 1 million maybe, depending how they promote the card and who else is in it, maybe. But I think everyone just knows how it's gonna turn out.
Yeah, so it'll be bad news even if she did come back because it's you have Chris Cyborg just waiting for you. I mean, Chris is trying to chase her, into
Yeah.
WWE, and she's friends with Mick Foley and trying to get that all, but they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it in the WWE. So if she comes back, then she's going to get all kinds of questions, and people are going to be hounding her. And she couldn't handle the media before, right? Did no media with the Amanda fight, so she's going to avoid media altogether. That's not going to happen. You can't do that, especially on an ESPN platform. Like they're going to want to use her. So it's just all bad news for her, even if she did come back.
Yeah,
I don't
Ramona
think she can handle
Shelburne.
it.
Ramona Shelburne is not available 24/7.
Yeah, fielder all the questions, right?
Yeah,
Set
you
up all
know
the
she is, right? She's like the biggest Ronda fan ever. Like she just writes about women's sports and knows nothing about MMA. She just like marks out for Ronda. She's the one that wrote all the stories like, oh, Ronda's comeback after she got knocked out by Holly Holm and shit. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. So yeah, I totally get you. Yeah, good points all around and interesting insights from you since you're the one who knows all about this. But yeah, interesting speculation. We love to speculate on the show, so there was that. Another thing, Pacquiao Broner that happened last week. We made a quick note of it, but that was happening because it seems like nobody knew it was happening, and we mocked it. We mocked it because it was on pay-per-view and it was 74.99. We were laughing about who's actually going to pay for this. Where it turns out 400,000 people would pay for it. That's the reported buy rate of Pacquiao Broner, a fight that Pacquiao dominated from beginning to end, seemingly, and Broner went on to throw a fit about it and basically saying that the whole world's against him and that nobody's giving him a fair shake, even though he got his ass whooped. I don't know, Reen. What do you think? Is boxing just in a weird spot? Like, are they desperate for any name, and that's why they shelled out the money for Manny Pacquiao, for a 40-year-old Manny Pacquiao, or is it just, I don't know, is he still a star?
I guess he still is, right? Because 400,000 buys. Wow, I don't even know who actually fought under him.
I mean, he does
You
have a
know,
Filipino fan base, obviously, but I don't know if I don't know. I don't know if even if every Filipino in the country bought this pay per view, I still don't think it'd go to 400,000. So I
that's a
don't
lot.
know. Yeah, it is a lot.
That's a lot considering, ESPN Plus, they had almost 600 subscribers. College basketball was going on. I mean, all these things were happening that weekend, and they still got 400,000 buys at $75 a pop. Like, what the hell? And you don't know anybody else that's on the card?
Yeah, I mean, Badu Jack was the only other guy that has kind of a name that was on that card, and that's like for the hardest of hardcore fans. And I'm only basically addressing Pacquiao in this because I still don't think there's a person alive who will proudly claim to be a Adrian Broner fight. And even if there is, I don't think that there are enough of one to give him $75 for this fight. So I think it is solely on Pacquiao. I'm just surprised that he's pulling any kinds of numbers these days. And
Yeah.
then I'm starting to think that it may be because he won his last fight before this against Matisse and knocked him out. Maybe people just kind of got hyped again, like, oh, Pacquiao's back and he's probably gonna start fucking dudes up again.
Yeah, I didn't see a lot of advertisement for this fight. Did you? I didn't see a lot of
No,
people talking about it on Twitter, so I mean, I'm really surprised about it.
yeah, I wasn't aware of the fight till like fight week, like literally like 2 or 3 days before the fight. So yeah, that goes to show the promotion angle for that.
Yeah, unless, well, I didn't even see that any angle of setting up a fight with Mayweather and Pacquiao. They
Well,
were
there's been like a
talking about that.
video. There's been a video circulating of them meeting at that basketball game again. They were at another basketball game and they like shook hands and like patted each other on the shoulder or whatever. But it's just that you know, TMZ, ESPN gossip bullshit. Like I don't think there was anything to it, but man, that'll be up there with like just another that's like I don't know. I just don't want to see Mayweather fight in any way because it's not gonna be against anyone good or anyone credible. And at this point, I don't know what's worse: Mayweather versus Pacquiao, two; Mayweather versus Connor, two; Mayweather versus Khabib, Mayweather versus goddamn tension again. Like that's basically all he's doing now. Like I don't want to see any of them. Yeah, maybe that's the only hope. Like, well, he may fight Mayweather again. There's still those mark ass boxing fans out there.
Yeah, I think it's still insane. $75. That's a lot. And I think Pacquiao's getting paid 20 million.
I think I read that right. Yeah, I think that's right.
Damn,
Close.
Senator
It's not
Pacquiao.
close to it. So yeah.
Wow.
But a lot of that's going to the IRS, not just here, but in the Philippines. He had a lot of tax issues, and I think he's still employing Boo Boy and all this his entourage of like 50 people. So I don't think all that money's going to his bank account. I think it's going to pay checks. Yeah.
Well, regardless of what happened, that was a big weekend for combat sports then. I mean, a lot of people
Yeah.
tuned in. So
Yeah.
that's a
UFC.
plus.
UFC. Boxing. Yeah. You're right. What's what's the thing? Rising tide lifts all boats. So I guess we should be happy about all this. But moving on, we debuted tweet of the week last week, just highlighting funny, smart, in-depth tweets, just things I find interesting. Um, this week I decided to give it to an actual UFC fighter who I wasn't really aware of. I guess he was on Dana White's Contender Series. His name's Juan Adams. He's at chosen Juan 285 on Twitter. And this post made me laugh. This is the one I wanted to highlight. He tweeted, "Since criminal past get you co-main event status, I might fuck around, get a disturbing the peace at the local strip club, maybe do some drunk donuts in the parking lot to get my page clicks up, and I'll headline a card." I thought that was really funny. He posted this a few days after the Greg Hardy, the ESPN Plus card. So he had also called out Greg Hardy, I think, after that fight. So I'm already a fan of this guy, and I've seen some other tweets of his. You guys should really you should give him a follow. He's a pretty funny dude and he's a pretty smart guy. So I can't wait to see him fight, and I'll be looking at his Twitter account because he's pretty entertaining. So there's to Juan Adams. You're the tweet of the week this week. Yeah, so we wanted to end tonight's show with a news story. So a little bit here. This is from the Tallahassee Democrat. And the headline is Florida Secretary of State Mike Erdl resigns after Halloween blackface photos emerge. I know there's some people who think blackface isn't the biggest deal in the world. It's kind of controversial, although I don't think it should because I think it is pretty detestable and really offensive. But it's not just a what this guy did. It's not just this guy was in blackface. It's what the extent that he went to. So this was in 2005. This was at a Halloween party in 2005 that he did this. And I'm usually not a fan of this either, of going into somebody's past and digging up embarrassing or fucked up things that someone may have done in their past because it doesn't necessarily mean that they're the same person. But there is a big exception to this one. So it wasn't just blackface. He was in a New Orleans Saints bandana with like a fake weave, hoop earrings, fake boobs, and he had a purple shirt and he had written on it in black marker, Katrina victim. Again, 2005, Halloween of 2005, which means it was a little over 3 months after the tragedy of Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans. And this guy thought that was a good idea. So after these photos leaked, he decided to resign. I usually laugh at things like this, things of this nature, because it's so ridiculous. But I couldn't find it in me to laugh at this because this is just so stupid and so facepalm worthy that I was just at a loss for words. What did you think when you saw this, Rain?
I'm I'm looking at it right now and I'm still shaking my head. Like, really, this is so horrible. I mean, it's right after the hurricane. We saw what happened. You know, instead of helping people, he's mocking them. I don't understand where his head was at. Yeah, it was a private Halloween party, but nobody said anything to him that it's
Yeah,
wrong. Maybe you should not dress like that. Maybe, you should go back home and try again. He's sitting here with the beer like it's cool. It's
yeah,
okay. It's just this is just a normal costume. Like, no, it's not.
yeah. There's I know it's a big thing now. It's like, oh, these crazy liberals are fucking up Halloween now. Like everything's offensive, and you can't be a samurai, you can't be a Native American because it's like cultural appropriation, and I usually side with that. Like that's taking it too far, I think. But this is just like like everything that's offensive. He's just like, all right, ding, ding, ding. He like rang every bell. And I just have this feeling that looks much younger in this. I assume he was probably in college. He probably at some fucking frat boy party and thought it'd be hilarious. And I'm sure his drunken dude bro friends probably, if they didn't find it funny, they weren't gonna tell him anything of like, hey, get out. We don't like your costume. So I think he was at least in the company that wasn't gonna fight him on it. So
Oh, hell
man,
no.
I mean,
No.
usually in most cases like this, I just like, man, that's embarrassing. That sucks. You should quit, and well, you learned your lesson. But this is just like, damn, man, you're a vile human being. That's some nasty fucked up shit you did there. And for me to not laugh at something inappropriate takes a lot. And this is beyond inappropriate though. This is just straight cold. This is some heartless shit to do.
You would think he would know better. I mean, it says here that he spent 8 years in the U.S. Army providing public relations
That
during
hurts.
the 1992 L.A. riots.
Oh, that's gotta sting. Oh,
So come
oh,
on, you're a fucking asshole, point blank.
yeah, yeah.
It's
There's.
just so wrong. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of digging up things. I don't have a perfect past. I've never done anything like this, but I'm glad that something like this came up because this is wrong. This
Yeah,
is
because
totally wrong.
he could have done this now, and obviously it would have been a similar situation. But you know, I don't think there's much of a difference. But to do it right after, it's like, no, there's a thing about being current. Like a year or two ago, everybody wanted to be Bill Cosby, just because they thought it was funny. Like, oh, he has Skittles or whatever. They're supposed to be date rape drugs or whatever. Just kind of mocking the situation, which I understand is offensive, but at least I kind of get where they're going with it. It's like, well, this is something that happened, and it's like pop culture. This isn't anything like that. This was a tragedy that hit the country. Unfortunately, it hit a part of the country that a lot of people chose to forget. But this guy did. He didn't want to pay tribute to them. He decided to mock them, even as the city was underwater, basically. So the only saving grace is that we don't have a guy like that in public office because there's enough terrible people in politics. So it's good that we got one out, and it's good that he booted himself out. We didn't have to do it for him. So at least he had at least the tiny bit of common sense to just get his ass out what he could. So fuck you, Mike Girdle, whatever the fuck your name is. There's just nothing surprises me with politics stuff, but this is one of the few things that did. This was just leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
It's one thing to do funny stories as we tend to do, and we like to mock people. We are mocking this guy, but there's nothing funny about it aside from the fact that he's such an idiot that he had this background and still did what he did. But unfortunately, we can't really laugh at it because it's not
Mm-mm.
a laughing matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to laugh. I'm always joking. Sarcasm is my number one thing, but this you can't. No, you're an asshole. Point
Yeah.
blank.
Yeah. So keep an eye out on your elected official, kids. Never know who's doing some crazy shit in the background. But anyway, we're gonna end the show there. Kind of a sour note, but I guess an important note. Sometimes we gotta touch on the ridiculousness of it without fully making fun of it. So that was our show for this week. Hope you guys enjoy the fights. Enjoy Fedor versus Bader. See next week of who was right between Rina and I. I was basically the only pick this week. And we'll catch you guys next week. As always, give us a like, subscribe, retweet, share, write us a review on iTunes. That tends to help. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Juice_MMA, Rina at Fox with you, and the Twitter account for the show at iFoxWithJuice. That's also on Instagram at iFoxWithJuice. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Later.
See you guys. See ya. Thanks.